Hi there. Welcome, Chase.
Yeah.
Hey. Back again to talk about food and not food.
Something like that.
Yeah, food and what should not be food, at least for us, if you think so.
There was an echo. There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks for having me, buddy. I
Thank
love being
you.
on your show, man. Your show's the best
This is
show.
fun. This is great stuff. So far,
Yeah.
this is the third in the series. Well, there was another one we talked to earlier, but anyway, in this specific series, this is Chase and I going through Chase's best and most human arguments for being kind to animals, I think is the main point in our food choices. Is that right?
Including humans, because we're also talking
Yeah.
about. So I think
Animal.
this is kind of the third installment. The first one was more about animal rights and
Mhm.
like analogies of aliens, like how
Mhm.
we treat them or how would we want aliens to treat us, even
Yep.
though we're different species and all that.
Mhm.
And then the second one we did a couple weeks ago or a week ago was about the environmental benefits of a plant-based diet. And so we went through some document that I made that has a bunch of stats and figures in it. And then and now we're going to talk about the health benefits of a plant-based
Yep.
diet, and just establishing that a vegan diet is healthy. And so we're going to go through a document showing those kind of statistics. But yeah, so this is all, we're all animals, and the only reason I care about, the health is because I care about humans. Because
Mhm.
humans are animals. We're all, we all feel pain and pleasure. We all want to live, and a lot of people like just don't know about the health consequences of eating animal products.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like, like if you want to do something that's unhealthy, that's pretty much fine with me because you have the right to do whatever you want, but you should at least know what you're doing. You should have informed consent about these things. But of course, if we're going to take it into the animal rights stuff, then it's like, well, these are a rights violation. And so on the moral aspect, we got
Yeah.
to like really take this stuff seriously, and it's not just like a personal choice because it affects others. And
Yeah.
then for the environment, the only reason I care about the environment is because it affects humans and animals, right? And
Yeah.
so so and a plant-based agriculture is way better for the environment, as we went through in the last video.
Yep. Okay, so here's what's at stake for me. Steak. See what I
Ah,
did
ah,
there?
well, here's what's at
I do.
hamburger for me.
Yeah, indeed. So, so far in our discussions, we talked about in the first one, kind of the moral high ground, and I am firmly compelled that your position has the moral high ground to a slight degree.
A slight degree.
Slight degree, because there's two moral concerns here.
Uh-huh.
And I hold as huge my own moral concern for self-care.
Sure.
And I hold as small, but not insignificant, my desire to treat humans and animals kindly and fairly. So, yes, as long as my rather tall self-care thing
Yeah.
is not being pushed against, you have the moral high ground. So that was the first one.
Okay, cool.
Second one, environmental. You moved my confidence from 95 to 98 that environmentally, going vegan or reducing meat, I'll just say, reducing my meat would be a positive environmental impact and would be so for the world.
Were you just a quick question,
Mhm.
what about dairy and eggs? Was that as compelling as well, or maybe not as
Not
much as
well,
because
I think I see about a 4-to-1 difference
okay,
there. In terms of, I think if I reduce my meat consumption, I make about a 4 times better impact, than if I reduce my dairy or egg consumption. Um, I also think that in terms of the moral high ground of the exploitation, I'm happier with dairy than I am with slaughterhouses. But
well, that's another issue because we got to just mention
sure.
that all of the dairy cows are sent to slaughter.
Oh, eventually. Sure.
Yeah, when they're like 3 to 5 years old. But in any case, we're talking about health instead of the vegan
Completely.
propaganda moral stuff
Yeah.
right now, right?
Yeah. So Uh, as part of the research that I've done following up what you've done over the last couple of weeks, I have really, really come to love this particular dish. This is 100 calories of oatmeal and 100 calories of chia seeds.
Oh,
So this little 200 calorie thing is something I hit myself up with about once or twice a day,
cool.
and these days I'm basically eating about 1,200 calories. So about 6 of this a day is now I don't mean I'm only eating this.
Okay, yeah, yeah, got you.
This is 1 or 2 of my doses a day, and I have a protein bar that I really like, and I have my
Oh,
green
yeah.
beans, and I have my peas, and I have my well, I still have meat in one of those portions, at least. Um,
So long
and
as so long as it's human meat, that's fine with me.
oh, okay. So far not, but,
Oh,
but, anyway,
you know.
it's complicated.
It's one of those, it's an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste. Yeah, yeah. So what's at stake for me is that, so far, this without me making a decision to do it, has cut my meat in half.
Without you making a decision to do it?
I have not made a decision to do anything. I have not made a conclusion on this. The
Happen.
research and process of this has simply introduced, like, especially last week, we talked about, the replacement for soybeans, and you gave a big list of things that were nutritionally better than soybeans, and it was a big list.
Oh, sure.
And
The
I have all
proteins,
of those except for, like, that weird one at the end that was, like, weirdly all protein. I don't even know what that stuff is. But
seitan.
seitan, yeah, I don't have any of that, but all the other things I have on my shelf, and that's what's
Cool.
flowing in to I mean, like, the chia seeds
Mhm.
are on that list, and that's what's flowing in to replace my meat, not because I'm choosing to replace it but just because I'm seeing now this as a much higher quality source of my nutrition, and to a degree, I think a better source than meat for me,
Okay, cool.
for a lot of reasons which you've
Yep.
already talked about, and let's get right into.
Cool, man. Let's do it. All right. So, this is a document I made. Took several months. It's a living document, meaning that like
Mhm.
I keep adding to it. It started out as like 50 vegan health sources, and now it's at actually 220, something like that. So,
I
so
love
this
round numbers.
yeah, well, so this is good stuff. So we can kind of scroll through the contents here real quick.
Okay.
So you'll see at the top, vegan diet is healthy. So there'll be 15 links to
Okay.
credible, peer-reviewed scientific studies or meta-analyses or position statements from accredited nutrition academies, big bodies,
Mhm.
institutes, medical doctors, and all this stuff. So, so then the next one is like long life and all cause mortality, mortality meaning death. So all
Yes.
cause
Mhm.
death. And then you got heart disease, cancer. Cancer is probably the biggest one with 59 links
Okay.
to cancer sources about this stuff. And then diabetes, high blood
Mhm.
pressure, hypertension, stroke, kidney disease, liver disease, and then 22 links on a vegan diet for kids.
Mm.
And
How is that different?
well, just because a lot of times people will say, "Oh, well, it's healthy for naysayers." I'm saying anti-vegans or will say that. So I'm getting an emergency alert.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so but yeah, so they'll sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, yeah, I agree that a vegan diet is healthy for adults, but not for kids." And so it's like, well,
Why?
I got to make a big list of like, position
Yeah.
statements, and all this stuff.
I'll wait
Uh,
till we get down to this, but yeah, I'm interested in understanding an why a healthy adult diet and a healthy child's diet are in any categorical way different.
It might have something to do, or theoretically, at least, it might someone might think it has something to do with the growing the experience of growing, that and then
Mm,
once the adult, then they've stopped growing, and so maybe they wouldn't need as many certain
okay.
nutrients or something.
I've seen some vegan bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Mm-mm, bam it. Yeah, yeah, I'm not thinking that the vegan bodybuilders well, no, okay, they might be juicing, they might be doing all sorts of weird I don't mean, like, fruit juicing, I mean, naughtiness for some sports. I don't mean naughtiness for people. I think that's perfectly within their freedom. Uh, yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, we'll get back to that.
Sure, sure. But
Mental
yeah,
health.
that is the next section of vegan diet for athletes. And then mental health, and then dementia slash
Hmm.
Alzheimer's disease,
Hmm.
obesity, lactose intolerance, inflammation, iron deficiency,
Big old
anemia.
long list. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so on and so forth. So we
Okay,
can go through some of them here. So maybe what we'll do is just read like two of the first of each section.
great.
Um,
For those of you who are paying attention to SE, the form he's already following it. He's giving me the claim. He's giving me the reasons. He's giving me the reasons behind the reasons. We will talk about the epistemology as we go, and you might not recognize the SE recipe in here, but I am ticking off the boxes as we go.
and
Vegan
I
diet is healthy.
and I'll try not to blabber on too
Oh,
much.
blabber on. This is your show. Go for it.
Actually, so you can actually ask some of the SE questions.
Yes.
Me answering them
But
before
if
you.
you answer them ahead of time, I don't actually need to, and the people that are familiar with SE will understand and see how
Okay.
the recipe applied, even if I didn't form the question. Go for it.
Okay, cool. That works. So first one here is from the British Dietetic Association, confirms that well-planned vegan diets can support healthy living in people of all ages. And we might want to
Right.
open that up real quick.
Sure.
Let's see what that first one looks like. And people will be able to have access to this document in
Yep.
the chat and in the description of this video, and maybe in the comments as well. So it should be easy to find. So this just takes you straight to the British Dietetic Association in the
Uh-huh.
UK, and you can just kind of scroll through real quick. What I did was just take a, a copy and paste, like the
Uh-huh.
quickest way of explaining the most important synopsis of what they were saying. But if you want to look into these studies and position papers more, let's see. So it is important that people choosing to eat a vegan diet can get the right advice from the right sources and know how to visit a dietitian for advice for tailoring their nutrition and diet. The BDA will continue to work with the Vegan Society to promote this message.
Okay. How important is it that I should consult a dietitian?
I would say, like, whatever you're doing, you should, whatever diet you're following, you should, like, if you care about your health,
Yeah.
you should be well researched in it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure necessarily, like, if you have certain health conditions and stuff,
Mhm.
then it might be more necessary to, you know, uh, contact a dietitian to make sure everything is,
Yeah.
where it needs to be and stuff. But that could be said of a meat eating diet as well.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. The question of having to talk to a dietitian, my problem is my experience with doctors is they suck at this. And
yeah, a
that's
lot of
not a
them.
dietitian, that's a doctor. And
Yeah,
I'm not actually expecting that the dietitians or nutritionists, and one of those is a real word and one of them isn't, I think, in terms of actually having a
diet dietitian
dietitian is the real one?
yeah, registered
Okay.
dietitian
Alright. So
is
dietitian is the one that I should actually be the actual professional I should be looking for.
right.
And so far, I haven't found that when I look for a dietitian, I find them credible. I
Okay.
find very many of them pushing an agenda that as soon as I research it, I find it fail.
Oh, that's not good.
I'm not poking at vegan dietitians. I'm poking for dietitians in general.
Okay,
I've just had a very, very poor track record.
interesting. I've never actually spoken like to a dietitian about my own health, general doctors, for sure, and they all say, "Yeah, keep up the vegan diet. That's your healthy thing, go for it. Your cholesterol's looking great. All your blood work is great. I've been vegan for like 12 years now."
Mhm.
And but yeah, so one of the problems with relying on one specific doctor or one
Sure.
dietitian or nutritionist is, or even a couple of them, is that, like you said, an individual can have their biases or misinformation or who knows what's going on in their life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if we look at the larger bodies of research, that's where we're going to find the actual data,
Yeah.
as opposed to just this one person saying one thing.
Yeah. I almost think this is a bit of a boilerplate to cover their ass. They're like medical or whatever, and
Sure.
I don't think they could say this without this statement and get away with it, get it published within their system.
Yeah, they just wanna be super, they want people to, really be paying attention to what they're eating and what is best for their health, and the best
Mm,
people usually to talk to about that would be, would be doctors and
yeah,
registered dietitians,
yeah,
and looking at this body of evidence. But yeah, so, alright, so we can go back to the document if that sounds
yes,
good,
uh-huh,
and
right,
then so the second one, let's see, can you click or get that? Yeah. So next one is from the NHS. A well-balanced vegan diet gives you all the nutrients your body needs.
mhm,
There you go. Just takes you to the NHS site. Blah blah blah.
okay. Vegan diet is based on plants such as vegetables, grain, nuts, and fruits, and foods made from plants. Not oh, that's almost that's a bad joke. My old friends used to say, "That's not food, that's what food eats." And that's not what you mean.
Nope.
Nope, nope, nope. You can get the nutrients you need from eating a varied and balanced vegan diet, including fortified foods and supplements. Now, there's the fortified thing. What fortifications do I need? If I cut my meat down to, say, less than 50 or 100 grams a day.
Uh, I'm not sure. I mean, like, I don't even know that you need fortified food at all. I'm not sure even that I eat any or many. We can look into that and open up my fridge if we need to. But like, I take a daily multivitamin, which is a supplement for sure.
Yep.
And so that's how I get my vitamin D and B12 and everything. Um, and doctors, are fine with that. Like it's
Mhm.
safe and effective, and um, whatever diet you're on, it's good to take a multivitamin just to make sure you're getting everything that you need in ample
Mhm.
supply, in case
Yeah,
you're on the.
I should do that again. I have slacked off on my multivitamins.
Oh, yeah, it's a good
I
thing for sure.
yeah, when you don't feel any different, you just forget.
And I take it religiously. I may
Good,
be an atheist, but I'm pretty religious with my B12.
good, good. So for you, fortification of B12 is something you do regularly.
I mean, I guess it depends on what we mean by fortified foods or fortification. Some of that would be,
Well, yeah,
like.
I guess it's not fortified foods if you're just taking a tablet once a day.
Right, right. But
Okay.
sometimes I eat like, nutritional yeast is kind of like a
Mhm.
flaky cheese-like type thing that you can put on
Yeah, good
pasta, for
stuff.
example, and then microwave it and it'll melt it,
Mhm.
or whatever. You can mix it with a little bit of water to make it more saucy and stuff, but
Yeah, I like that stuff.
that would be an example of a fortified food that's just packed full of B12 and, like, all kinds of good nutrients.
I could
Uh,
make a habit of taking a pill every day. Is that enough B12 in something like that?
should be, yeah, yeah, I think that's yeah, but, you'll just
Okay.
check the labels.
I'm gonna check out the fortified yeast. What is it called? It's
Nutritional yeast.
nutritional yeast.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good, but it's pretty good.
Oh, no, I've had it before. It's actually a topping I like, so I'm just
Cool.
gonna add it to my list. Let me just add new and you keep talking.
Sure. Yeah, so, well, maybe we'll go back to the document and see what else we got real quick.
Yes.
Because I actually wanna open up, the one from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is just below the link that we opened, because that's, so the Academy of Nutrition, yeah, so the big chapter or the big, paragraph there from PubMed, yeah,
This one
vegan
here?
yeah, that big one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So go ahead and click,
Go to the
or
link?
you don't have to click it. Well, yeah, go ahead and
Just
click
read
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead and click it,
Okay.
just so people can see the PubMed.
The
Uh,
Academy of PubMed, position of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, vegetarian. Okay, so this is a position of a whole group. How nice.
yeah, and to be clear, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics is the world's largest organization of food and nutrition experts with 100,000 registered dietitians and doctors, and so
Okay.
this is like the leading body of experts in this field. Do
Okay,
you
so let me speak a little bit of SE. I
Okay.
have 4 epistemologies that I honor as good ones: quantitative, qualitative, uh, I think it's language study that If you study how people use language, you can reliably determine what language means. And then the last one is if you study people's behaviors, you can figure out exactly what they actually do want as opposed to just what they say. So those are like the four that I have. And the fifth one, taught to me by uh, Quaid on a tape, is trust the experts. This one has a big asterisk. This one is trust the experts to the degree that you see that they honor those four.
Yeah.
So far in this case, I have high confidence that these experts are mostly following my other four. So I'm going to start with trust the experts at moderately high confidence. Go for it.
Well, would you like to read it?
Yes. It is the position of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics that appropriately planned vegetarian, including vegan diets are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits for the prevention and treatment of certain diseases. These diets are appropriate for all the stages of the life cycle, including pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, older adulthood, ooh, that's me, and for athletes. Plant-based diets are more environmentally sustainable, that was last week, good show, than diets rich in animal products because they use fewer natural resources and are associated with much less environmental damage. Vegetarians and vegans are at reduced risk of certain health conditions, including ischemic heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, certain types of cancer, and obesity. Low intake of saturated fat and high intakes of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, soy products, nuts, and seeds, all that are rich in fiber and phytochemicals, are characteristics of vegetarian and vegan diets that produce lower total and low density lipoprotein cholesterol levels and better serum glucose control. These factors contribute to the reduction of chronic disease. Vegans need reliable sources of vitamin B12, such as fortified foods or supplements.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So take your B12.
take the B12,
You know,
and I'm going to try to do that through nutritional yeast. I just added to our shopping list.
very good.
Very good.
Yeah, so we can skip on now, maybe to the next section. So this of the document, yeah. So
Yep.
that section was all about just how, in general, a vegan diet is healthy.
Mhm.
And then so we can keep scrolling.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. You tell me when to.
Yeah, where's the next section of all
Next
cause
section.
all
Long
cause
life, all
mortality?
cause mortality.
Yeah,
Just for detail, mortality refers to death. Morbidity refers to illness. And
mm,
so when I'm searching in for, like, what's the prevalence of something going bad, I refer to morbidity and mortality, or I refer to one or the other, or something like that when I'm doing my searches. So good term. Go for it.
cool.
Long life, all cause mortality.
Okay, yeah, so the first one out of 19 links here, plant-based diets are associated with a lower risk of incident cardiovascular disease mortality, and all-cause mortality in the general population. Go ahead and open that one up real quick. So the Journal of the American Heart Association.
Okay. So
So
this is all about cardio.
yeah, cardiovascular stuff.
Okay.
But for people who are not used to looking up scientific research papers, this is a
Yeah.
great way to do it. Is just in your Google search, you
Mhm.
can type in does meat increase the risk of heart disease,
Yeah.
and then PubMed or
Okay.
AHA journals, like it
Yeah.
says at the top, and that will limit your Google search to peer-reviewed scientific studies
Mhm.
instead of just random websites that'll say anything. You want
Yeah. Yeah. Asking for PubMed or EPUB or something like that, definitely. Sorry, PubMed specifically. EPUB, I guess, is just a PDF form. Never mind. Uh, the 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 question you asked was in the positive. If I were to ask, what is the effect of
right.
meat on the thing, without
Yeah,
giving the answer, I might get a better search because I might get both sides of it a little better.
Yeah, yeah, and and that's a great way to do it, or, oftentimes though, if you put the reverse, like, does a plant-based diet cause cancer?
Mhm.
It will come up with with results that are like, no, no, right? So so sometimes it's not as biased as we would think, but I do agree with you
Right.
that a more neutral way of doing the search of typing in the search, I mean,
It's a good
it
SE practice too.
it depends on what, like, I think the way you phrased it was, what are the health effects of eating meat? The way I phrased it, I think in this instance was, does meat cause cancer or does meat cause
Right.
heart disease?
What is the effect on meat consumption on cancer rates? Would
Yeah,
be the neutral thing. And this is an SE practice as well. If you wanna
yeah,
figure out a way to ask the question in the most neutral way, you ask it for just you don't assume the answer on either side. You say, "Okay, maybe it's 0. Is there a reason to think it's not 0 in either direction?" Those kind of questions.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, I think like asking, does meat cause heart disease isn't a super biased question, but it could be
Right.
more neutralized by doing what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, it might be. And really, if you do the search both ways and you don't find any difference, fine, great.
Yeah. Like yeah, because you could do a search for does meat decrease cancer?
I would imagine, and or what are the cardiovascular benefits of a meat diet?
Right, right. Yeah, so
You probably find something.
you could try to bias the search in
Yeah,
both directions to see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. That's the other way to do it in SE. You can be neutral, even if you're bringing arguments in from both sides, as long as you try to bring in equal amounts of those arguments from both sides.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I like to be ironic and perverse and, do what they don't expect first.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's scroll through this
Okay.
slowly here. So what people will see here is the background, like this is basically explaining why these specific researchers are doing this
Mhm.
experiment, this test or whatever, because why they're writing up this research paper. And then you got the methodologies and the results. And so this will go into more details than what follows, which is at the bottom there, the conclusion,
Yeah.
which is usually just a shorter, just a quick little summary of the thing, but it might
Yes.
not have all of the numbers if you want to see the numbers.
Right.
But all of this, what you've seen here is just like the first page of a study, like the beginning of everything, summarizing it all, and then you can scroll down even further to go through the whole study, or you might have to click a button that'll take you to the full study.
Yep.
But that's where you would, and a lot of that stuff is like really smart that I'm too dumb to understand a lot of the words that are happening there, but
Yeah. Here's the part that really speaks to my math brain.
okay.
They are taking the highest they're putting people in 5 categories, a quintile. So they're just putting 5 columns, so 20% in each. Boom, boom, boom. And they take the highest 20% of adherence to an overall plant-based diet. That would be you. And we have the lowest, which might be me a lot of the time. And 16, 31, 32, 18. Hmm. I don't know why they gave me 16 and then 31 and 32 and 18 to 25. Is that in 3 different chunks? I'm not clear why they have that range. So I'm just gonna pretend it's a range of 16 to 32% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. So I think based on this study, I should generalize as having a between 16 and 32% lower risk than me. Is that what I
Okay,
should read from this?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm pretty dumb. I'm good at some stuff, but this ain't
Mhm.
one.
That's
What I
fine.
all I'm doing is basically relying on the conclusions of what the experts are saying and compiling that list, and then
Yes.
if there are and I'm keeping an eye out for counter studies that would say something else, or and I'm waiting for other people to send me counter studies that show the
Yes.
opposite, so that I can update my material, or like if some of these tests or some of these methods that are in some
Mhm.
of the studies that I've listed turn out to not be very good, then I will remove them from the list. But
Sure.
I need somebody who's qualified to tell me that, because I
Yeah.
can't really tell to that degree. I can understand to some degree, because I understand the scientific the or the hierarchy of scientific evidence. Where like at the top you have like meta analyses, and
Mhm.
position statements and stuff from accredited new you know and then at the very bottom is just like stories, like an anecdote, or like a case paper about one individual,
Yeah.
as opposed to a meta analysis, which is looking at like hundreds or thousands of studies, really good quality studies usually too. But
Yeah, big meta studies are very valuable to me. I see here a range of 19 to 11% for higher adherence. Now, I don't know what higher means. Is that moving one category over? Or is that two? Whatever, I'm not sure. But they're claiming a 19 to 11% range. So I'm just going to pick 15 as the middle of that. And so say that if I were to change my diet to a much higher adherence, which probably means cutting meat out mostly or almost all, that I could gain 1/7 on cardiovascular specific threat. So if I thought cardiovascular was a third of my threat, this would improve my life expectancy by 5%.
okay, yeah, that might be right. And then remember that heart disease is the number one killer of Americans and humans in general.
Mm, okay, interesting. So maybe a third is not the right number. Maybe it's closer to a half. But we'll figure that out. Whether it's a third or a half turns it from 5 to 7% or something. So it's not the biggest thing in my day. It's nothing like my blood sugar, which was a 3 or 4 to 1, if I had kept on the same path. And so I've improved my life expectancy by 4x in the last year from getting my blood sugar right. Now,
Good.
do I wanna do that next thing? Probably.
We'll see.
Let's
We'll
keep
find out.
going.
Yep, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. It's your life.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm
Your
probably
death.
not gonna make some sort of I'm not coming at this from a moral place. I
Right,
am
right.
morally nudged, but I'm much more nudged by that tall moral self-care thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go back to the document.
Back to the document.
And then, so maybe we'll just read one more. So
Okay.
this is from the NIH, the National Institutes of Health. Um, Vegetarian diets are associated with lower all-cause mortality and with some reductions in cause-specific mortality. Vegetarian/vegan dietary patterns have been associated with reductions in risk for several chronic diseases such as hypertension, metabolic syndrome, diabetes mellitus,
Mhm.
and ischemic heart disease, which might be expected to result in lower mortality. Um,
Okay.
so
What
anyway,
is metabolic syndrome?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Diabetes is certainly something I'm concerned about, and currently, I think I have it fully under control.
Cool. Good, good. Okay, so remember we
Should I go there?
no, let's go to the
Okay.
next section actually. So scroll down a page or two.
Heart disease.
Yeah, so 19 links, I believe, on heart
Mhm.
disease. So from PubMed, plant-based diets are associated with decreased total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and high-density lipoprotein cholesterol. You can open up that one real quick, just so people can see that. Again, this one is an actual study as opposed to. So this is a systematic review and meta-analysis as opposed to
Okay.
a position statement from like the Academy of Nutrition and
Yes.
Dietetics and stuff. Just to be clear on all that, so you'll see more of the specific, numbers and things like that when you go into all of it. I don't know if you want to, but we can keep moving if you'd like. Probably
Let me just do the quick scan on the math part, and I'm not gonna
okay.
try to explain it, just, read it out once. Okay, so the N oh, 8,300 studies. Oh my.
Yeah, see, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's a whole bunch. Now, I see that it affects these cholesterol things. Okay, fine. It affects cholesterol. Now, uh, what is the association of cholesterol to morbidity, mortality?
Well, I don't know about numbers and stuff, but like it, dietary cholesterol, eating cholesterol, through which is only found in animal products like meat, dairy, and eggs, um,
Oh.
increase, increases the risk of heart disease because it creates atherosclerosis, which clogs your arteries and
Mhm.
makes it harder for the blood to flow through the body, um, and can get clogged up and stuff. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
So the connection is cholesterol leads to, plaques in the arteries.
And saturated fat, I believe, as well. But saturated
Yeah,
fat, to some degree, can be still found in a vegan diet, but not as much as a meat eating diet.
sure.
But yeah, the cholesterol. So as a vegan, I have a zero cholesterol intake, and your body makes its own cholesterol, and we have
Right.
no dietary need to eat cholesterol.
Yeah. So if a person has no cholesterol, but they have a lot of saturated fat, will they self-generate enough cholesterol to crank their numbers up?
What does now? Say this again.
If you take in a lot of saturated fat, but no cholesterol dietarily, will you crank your cholesterol numbers up? Will your body generate more cholesterol?
I'm not sure. We should get a
Okay.
dietitian in here.
Okay. That's a good question. If somebody knows, comment. Let us know down in the doobly doo.
Cool. All right, you want to go back
Okay.
to the doc?
Yep.
Word. Okay.
I'm using Google Docs, not Word.
Doc.
We're on heart. Oh, sorry. Share this
Yeah,
tab instead.
sure. There we
I was
go.
looking at it. You weren't.
Yeah. Okay, so let's scroll down to cancer, the next section.
Cancer, the next biggest killer, right?
Yeah, this is crazy that there's 59 links for this stuff. But yeah, so the
Mhm.
first one from PubMed, high intake of red and processed meat is associated with significant increased risk of colorectal, colon, and rectal cancers. Um,
Okay. So, would this be the main argument you would have against a high meat diet? Sorry, only in terms of health, not in terms of all
yeah.
of the other reasons. Is
Uh,
this the main dietary reason why you would say a high meat diet bad?
I don't know. It's between this and heart disease, I think, because they're
Yeah.
both such prevalent killers of humans, and so heavily influenced by the consumption of animal products. So it's hard to say.
Mhm. Okay, let me grab the math just a little bit here and read it. Okay, 95% confidence intervals. Yes, that's the arbitrary standard.
And remember, this is a meta-analysis of
Mhm.
prospective studies.
Yep, yep. And how much? Okay, relative risk for each 100 grams a day of increase of meat was 1.14. Oh my. Okay, thank you. I if you're mathy, read it. Fine. The answer being for every 100 grams of meat, which my typical daily intake is 200 grams, and that would be a 30% increase in the cancer risk overall, long term.
Scary.
That's
And
that's
we
more significant than the cardio risk. If I put heart and cancer together, that's
Mhm.
a 2 to 1 on the cancer. And so if cancer is equally likely, then I should be twice as concerned about it, uh, compared to heart disease. If heart disease was twice as likely, then I should be equally concerned.
Mm,
So it seems like the cancer thing is mathematically the one that should impact me the most.
could be. All right, back to the document.
Back to the document.
I'm glad you're smart with mathy stuff.
Sure, and if anybody wants me to do math with them, I love to do math. I'm very mathy, and I'm happy to do calculations and read things with numbers in them.
Before we go on to cancer a little bit, scroll up just like a half a page, or yeah, because some of these are talking about, so with heart disease, some of these are about eggs, for example.
Okay.
Um, so let me just read one about eggs, like right in the middle,
Egg
like let's
consumption, this one?
um yeah, sure. Or there might be one with numbers. No, okay, that's fine. So yeah, egg consumption in addition to hypocholesterol, blah 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 blah. What is that
Sorry, I
word?
cut you off.
It's okay.
Consumption of eggs with meals increases the susceptibility of human plasma and low-density lipoprotein to lipid peroxidation. So the lipids or lipids are the fats that are in the blood, and the peroxidation of those basically is like free radicals, oxidizing those fats and turning them into something that is much more easy to plaque on the side of the wall of the artery.
Mm,
So lipid peroxidation is a factor in that heart disease thing that you were talking about.
okay, cool. We can go back to the document if that's fine
Thank
with
you.
you. I just wanted to highlight that. One other
Yes.
thing that's interesting is that in the heart disease section,
Yeah.
so we do see stuff about meats and uh, including poultry like chicken and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that there was nothing about dairy, which was surprising to me. I would expect that because dairy has cholesterol in it, it
Hmm.
would increase heart disease risk, but
Mm.
I didn't find anything supporting that. So,
My understanding, and I'm this is violating SE because I'm bringing in my own data, but I think rapport will stand it. My understanding is that because our self production of cholesterol is 90% of our total supply, if you will. Cholesterol coming in at 3 to 500 grams a day. I'm sorry, milligrams a day. No, ignore my numbers. I'm not remembering what they are. I do remember that the amount that we produce inside ourselves is 10 times as much as the typical intake. And therefore, reducing your intake to zero only reduces by 10% the amount that you're exposed to.
mm,
But that changing the amount of saturated fats that you're taking in affects your overall cholesterol more than eliminating or even doubling your cholesterol in your regular intake. That dietary cholesterol is not the important part. It's the other things that lead to it, like the saturated fats.
mm,
Uh, Also, there's a real big problem with medicine in that they tied cholesterol numbers as the goal, and they found some things like Lipitor is a specific medicine that is all about reducing those cholesterol numbers. The problem was they found that the effects of the Lipitor, the statins that did this thing, uh, um, they would lower your cholesterol numbers, but they would not produce a measurable morbidity or mortality improvement. The downside of this is we have 20, 30, 40 million people in this country on Lipitor, which is not something you can get back off of real easy. It's a real, once you go on, you don't come back off.
okay.
And they are receiving no morbidity or mortality benefit, but they are receiving a morbidity and mortality detriment from the statin itself.
Hmm.
So we have put millions of people in this country on a drug that we have learned over several decades is actually net harmful to them.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn.
And this is one of my big issues with medicine in that because of the way they learn, they tend to learn by rote. They tend to learn by not figuring out why they believe a thing, but just trust that it was done. And when I talk to doctors, they just trust it. They just trust it, which means they can't learn when they're wrong.
Yeah.
And I have several examples of that, which I can talk about under other circumstances. But the question of the cholesterol numbers and the Lipitor, I'm not an expert. My research has told me that doctors have it wrong and have not learned in decades
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this
A
problem.
lot of the problem I think is that like in medical school, like they only have to take like 3 credit hours of nutrition,
Sure.
and that's a huge part of preventive medicine, really, like food as medicine. But anyway, so let's scroll down to cancer again. And so a lot of this is talking about, red and processed meat. So red meat
Yes.
is going to be your uh, steak and lamb and deer, any mammalian meat from a mammal, right?
Pork?
That's not been processed. Processed meats are going to be things like your hamburgers,
Yeah.
uh, turkey sandwiches, deli meats, chicken
Yeah.
nuggets,
The
sausages.
the things that have to tell you how much water has been added and salt content so that they don't get in trouble for selling you, 7/10 of a pound of meat for the price of a pound.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
But
they add a whole lot of stuff to it, and the processing, when I've researched this further, it
mhm,
turns out unprocessed fresh meat has almost no detectable disadvantage, and processed meat has so much disadvantage that if you separate the 2 out, you can't find the red meat problem.
huh.
Now, I don't know that that's entirely correct. Some of your stuff might tell me otherwise, but the processed meats, get rid of those if you can, just right away. Just get rid of processed meats. Don't do your little I know, I love those little pepperonis. They're so good, but no, I can't.
Well,
Uh,
we got vegan pepperoni, son. It's
oh, yeah.
good.
Oh, I know. There's good stuff, and I've had some of it, and, yeah, put that on my pizza. Rothcon.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. But let's scroll down. Let's stay in the
Yep.
cancer section, but let's
Okay.
scroll down a page or maybe two because I want to see some of the other animal products. Okay, so this is still meat, meat, meat. Let's see about milk.
Milk?
Okay, so
Milk.
scroll up just this tiny little bit. Scroll. Okay, yeah, you can do that one. But yeah, I'll stay right there.
Okay.
So 1 cup of milk per day 1 cup of milk per day may increase the risk of breast cancer or the rate of breast cancer up to 50%. 1 cup of milk per day increases the risk of breast cancer rate up to 50%. That's crazy. Consuming 1/4 to 1/3 of dairy milk per day was associated with an increased risk of breast cancer up to 30%. Drinking 2 to 3 cups per day increased the risk 70 to 80%.
Okay. Science news. Hmm. Not a study.
Not a study.
Not a study.
Probably
And
sightings. Oh, Loma Linda. Let's see.
yeah,
So this is
let
from the
let me let me highlight May,
mhm.
and the second time you read it, you dropped the May, and that's important.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
That's okay. So let's see, summary, num, 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 let's see. Okay. Can? Uh, oh, uh, initially free of cancer from okay. So 53,000 N, initially free of cancer for 8 years. How long was it? I don't see how long the longitudinal was yet, but okay. And there were out of 53,000, there were okay, about 2% new breast cancer cases during follow-up. Da, da, da. Okay. I think my personal risk for breast cancer is much lower than women. I don't think it's 0, but I think it's significantly lower. So maybe I'm not as concerned about this,
Right.
um, but that's interesting. I wish I had more than this May, and I wish I understood more about the study this is based behind.
Yeah.
So, uh, if
Yeah.
you end up having the study that this is based behind, please send that to me. I'd like to read that
It
instead.
it it might be like the next thing that's listed, but I'm not
Okay.
sure. Um, you know, I spent a lot of time on this and I can't remember everything of everything. It is a big
Oh,
list.
totally. Yeah, totally. I'm gonna grab this one here.
Sure,
Total
whatever
cancer
looks
and cancer-specific mortality, a meta-analysis of prospective cohort studies. All right. This is potentially interesting. Oh, sorry. Share this tab.
there you go.
An
Wait, go to the
association.
sorry, can we go to the top of it real quick? I just wanna see the title of this one.
Yes. Yep.
And
Care
also, you guys
and
should
total
be able to
cancer.
see you can see the date. So this is from 2022.
It's pretty good. Pretty decent. Not that I want to honor things that are more recent. more than things that are old, but I
Well,
definitely want to stay current. If I have old and new, that's helpful.
yeah.
Okay, relative risks of 1.1. All right. And this is relative risk compared to what? Okay, that's all. 3 million participants. Nice. Whole milk. Is this whole milk versus not whole milk?
Not
Or
sure.
just between not taking it in?
I'm not sure. I can't remember this specific one. There's so many.
Okay. So it looks like I'm looking at a relative risk of 10% overall if you choose to have this compared to, I guess, not having milk. If you're having high fat milk products, that's for 10%. Oh, wait, but there's a bunch of different ones. Sorry. Cancer mortality is 10%. Sorry, ovarian, higher. That's not an issue for me. Prostate, higher. That would be an issue for me. It's almost the same, so I'm going to call that the same. Gonadal is
Oh
so
no.
gonadal is somewhere approaching 30%. Um, High consumption of fermented milk has a lower cancer mortality. Right, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, and cheese, bad. Butter, not a big deal. Total dairy product consumption is actually in the reverse. Huh. Okay. Well, that leaves me a little vague in my head. That's okay.
Yep. So
Vague is good.
yep, we just gotta keep pouring through the studies and learning more
Huh?
and all. You want to go back to the document?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I switched myself and hadn't switched you.
There's a lot of ones about milk and cancer, and there's a lot
Mhm.
of eggs and cancer.
Yeah.
So how about this one right there at the top, about egg consumption? You see that one?
This
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, you wanna read that?
Egg consumption was associated with increased breast cancer risk among the European, Asian, and postmenopausal population and those who consumed. And I'll just have to get to the thing.
Less than 2.
Okay.
I mean, this is again about breast cancer. I just wanted to
Yep.
quickly see that number.
Slight breast cancer risk, less than 5%. And then European population, Asian population, 9%. And less than, greater than 2, less than 5 a week of eggs, 10%. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty small.
Yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on it.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay,
Oh,
so that one is a non-zero. It is significant, but I don't think it moves me much.
okay, how about this one, underneath it? Men who consume 2.5 or more eggs per week had an 81% increased risk of lethal prostate cancer compared with men who consumed less than 0.5 eggs per week.
Okay, let's see that relative risk thing. Let's see. All right, eggs, red meat, and poultry intake. Okay. La, 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 la. They're talking about red meat, poultry, and eggs and consumption of these foods here. And now they are talking about men who consumed this with the eggs. I'm a little I'm a little confused. Which are they referring to? I think I'd have to read this more detail to find out whether they're talking about just eggs or whether they're talking about the larger set.
Not sure.
Not sure.
Terribly sorry.
I'd have to read this more carefully.
Yeah. And that's fine, you know, I mean, a lot of this is just a
Very
jump.
high
This
risk.
is like a lot of this is intended to be a jumping off
Yep,
point for further research.
absolutely.
Okay, so but yeah, so I just wanted to show a bit about that, you know. Okay, so now we can scroll down
Uh-huh.
and probably get out of cancer entirely, except for the fish issue. So consuming fish, you know, a lot of fish has been exposed to PCBs and like mercury, like pollutants
Yeah.
and stuff. Um, and so that can increase risk of cancer. But
Uh-huh.
of all the animal products, it seems like fish would be the least dangerous unless it's, you know, got all these contaminants in it.
Okay, so fish that's really clean would probably be okay, and fish that is dirty are elevated cancer risk because mercury and other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. They'd be okay health wise. And they might even, you know, fish might even in some ways, or some fish might actually improve health in some ways, but I'm not convinced that they would do so more than a plant based diet would. So,
I used to be a sushi chef.
oh,
Make a lot of sushi for parties and things. That was a fun thing. Um and then I paid enough attention to the harm of fishing and decided that I stopped wanting to do very much of that. So I actually stopped eating mostly fish. Mostly stopped eating fish is what I mean to say, because I don't like the effects on on things.
hi, Gina.
Uh,
Yeah,
I I don't like the effect on the environment
yeah.
of the
And
fish thing. So
I talked about the movie Seaspiracy last time.
yeah.
It's on Netflix, and so Seaspiracy, like conspiracy, but about the
Mhm.
sea, the oceans, right? So Seaspiracy on Netflix is a great documentary, and it deals with mostly the environmental aspects of fishing and overfishing, but I
Okay.
think it also talks about some of the health aspects as well. But you want to move down to diabetes section?
Yes.
Was it
Now we're in my zone. All right.
yeah, so
Much more my concern.
whatever stands out to you.
Okay, so higher risk of diabetes. Yep, high risk of diabetes, higher risk of diabetes. Yeah, I think that's what I have found was that I used to eat mostly meat, and I was actually trying to do it to keep my blood sugar under control, is to get out of, and that turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, so this is saying red meat and poultry. And I'm not
Sure.
I think poultry would include chickens and other birds like turkey.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, replacing red meat consumption with other protein sources was associated with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Sure, sure, sure. By the way, my particular kind of diabetes, when I went to the doctors and they said, "Oh, you have diabetes," and see, look here, when we want to look at your A1Cs and all those things, they said, "Yeah, for this type 2 adult onset style diabetes, sub there's two subcategories, and one of them was sort of like that which could be handled by lifestyle changes, and the other which required medication." And
Mm,
I said, "Okay, so which one do I have?" And they said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. We don't have to check because the treatment is the same." And I lost all credibility for that health worker immediately
hmm,
because they just told me that the treatment was different, and that's how you tell, but the treatment was the same, and they weren't going to check.
huh,
Turns out I have that second kind, that if I reduce my calories and especially, most importantly, if I reduce my body fat percentage, I can reset my blood sugar from 250 typical, mid 250 in the day a lot, maybe in the morning, uh,
mm,
uh, uh, at 105 kilograms, and at 80 kilograms, I'm at 90
mm,
every day, plus minus 10. I mean,
mm.
mwah. chef's kiss. And all it took was starving myself enough to lose 25% of my body weight, and yeah, that matters. Oh my god, oh my god! But now I'm with enough months of this in a row, I'm not actually diabetic anymore.
That's great.
Yeah.
So happy
So
for you. We want
naughty
you.
doctors giving me bad advice
Yeah.
in the doctor's office with a group of people standing there, not just one person. And they're just saying this thing, yup, 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 yup. And I'm just like, I don't believe any of you now.
Yeah, they need to study nutrition science a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, that was malpractice, and I didn't let him do it, so there's no case, right?
Gotcha.
Just like, no, I'm not even interested in your advice anymore. You're just wrong.
All right. So anything else stand out to you on this part?
Low meat, low. Yeah, it seems very clear that the meat diabetes thing is there. Now, this one I'm afraid of
Okay.
because I haven't taken this one on yet. I have an opinion that blood pressure is too easy to measure and too easy to react to, and they tend to react based on tiny differences and single points of failure. The doctors will take a single blood pressure reading where they've left you in a waiting room for an hour and
Yeah.
then forced you to do very difficult paperwork and then stressed you by asking a whole crap load of questions and
Right.
then they take your blood pressure and they're like, oh look, their blood pressure is 124, and you're,
Right.
oh wait, are you borderline? No, stop.
Yeah. Luckily, my I see a what's he
Hello.
called?
I come to get Ben.
I can't
Okay.
remember what he called. Well, the doctor I see, he did my blood pressure when I first got in, and then
Mhm.
and then later on, once I got more relaxed and stuff, and he's like, okay, there, looks better now, you know.
Yeah, and I have significant anxiety and things about going to medical, so I can't get a good blood pressure reading from them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's I don't calm down.
Gotcha. Okay. So what are you seeing here?
Oh, same answers that all of the meat and whatnot leads to higher uh, amounts. Here's the first one that has math: 17% higher rate of hypertension. Uh, with 5 servings of processed processed red meat. I don't have any of that. I don't do that. All of
Good.
my meat is fresh.
Plus, this
Well,
is frozen.
but frozen doesn't count. I do freeze my meat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, not
Stroke?
cool, but
Understood. Yeah, well, I'm leaning in the direction of my health,
yeah,
not in the direction of vegan.
I know. I know.
Uh, okay, increase the risk of stroke. Well, I think that stroke and arterial sclerosis are just tied together, right?
I just don't know enough, but my poor grandpa had a stroke, 2
Uh-huh.
strokes, I think,
Mhm.
and it's not pretty.
Right. So stroke specifically is like a heart attack that's not in your heart. It's a place in your brain that where the blood vessels stop flowing or they break and leak or something, and a part of the brain is no longer properly blooded or oxygenated. I guess is the point.
Mhm.
So that part probably dies.
Scary.
At least becomes unfunctional for a while. And that can lead to obviously wildly profound effects in a person and teaches us a lot about how compartmentalized and specialized our brain is because somebody can have a stroke and become face blind or gain gain no lose like attention on one side.
Yeah.
They no longer, you ask them to draw a cat and they only draw the details on one side.
Mm.
These aren't the common things, but when we see a lot of stroke victims really give us a lot of insight into um, brain structure, functional structure.
Okay. You
Okay.
want to scroll down a little bit?
I'm scrolling. Kidney disease. Okay. Plant-based diets should be okay. Prevention of. Okay, fine. Prevention of kidney disease.
And
Progression of kidney disease. Okay, well,
I don't even know how prevalent that is, so we might
yeah.
want to skip down to, maybe
I have a countering notion here.
okay.
My husband, who's been a vegetarian for more than 2 decades, maybe 3,
Uh-huh.
uh, has kidney problems.
Dang.
Now, I actually think that those are not because of plant-based. I think they're because of other choices, other health choices that were wrong. I think one of the factors that may have impacted his kidney disease is alkaline water. He went
Mm.
for that high pH, 9 or 10 pH water as a regular thing, which I didn't think was a good idea at the time. And he got kidney stones real bad, and
Yeah.
decided that was the wrong answer and stopped doing that, and is better. Though the kidney stones thing are about once every year or two. He has to
Oh,
go get
man.
medical intervention on kidney stones, and that,
Sucks.
oh my god.
Yeah. I was in the hospital in the ER screaming at the top of my lungs, 10 out
Yep.
of 10 pain, crying, puking all over the place, saying, "Give me the morphine!" Like, it was
Yeah.
insane, and it
Oh.
was a tiny, tiny one too,
Oh, yeah.
it felt like my back was broken, like,
Uh-huh.
really, like, I thought I had broken my back, but, yeah, so I think it was because I was drinking too much soda and too much juice and not enough water, so everybody drink your
Oh,
water.
okay. Yeah,
Boom.
I drink a lot of water with carbonation and flavorants in it, with no caloric or nutritional value, and, you know, like in a form like that. Or a form like that with
Yeah.
a tea bag.
With some
That
tea in there, yeah, or make some lemonade, like, because I
Mhm.
hear you, I want that flavor too,
Yeah, I
so
can't get
yeah, like,
myself to drink enough water if I don't flavor it.
Tang is good too, but that's a hell of a lot of sugar.
Oh, no sugar, no calorific drinks.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Mm. I'll sometimes have a little, cream in my coffee, like, once a day.
Okay. Well, it better be that vegan cream.
Well, it is, but actually, I've kind of gotten rid of the whole cream thing in my coffee just because I don't wanna have to I don't wanna have to calculate calories.
Oh,
Mm.
just put a tiny little spoonful of little oat milk creamer in there, you'll be alright.
Mm.
Be alright.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, okay, so, what else we see here on the document? Should we move on? Yeah, let's move on.
Nephrology, okay, liver disease, increased in likelihood and lower odds, and okay,
So this is
uh,
mostly it looks like just talking about meat, like red meat, and then just talking about how plant-based diets are better. Then we can go
uh-huh,
down vegan diet for
okay,
kids.
okay, alright, vegan diet for kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is the same link or a similar one to the top that, it's suitable for all stages of life. Yes.
It might not be from the same group or anything. Like I try not to make duplicate.
Okay, same claim.
Yeah.
Okay, vegan diet can be healthy. Let's see. Vegan children had lower fat mass, blood cholesterol, and fasting glucose levels. Uh, again, they were supplementing. That's
No,
important.
nothing
But
wrong with that.
again, nutritional yeast might be enough.
Yep.
Let's see. Safe and effective for all. Fine. High in fiber, and what is a polyphenolic?
I don't know.
Okay. diverse gut bacteria microbiota. Oh yeah, baby. I want my diversity in my gut microbiota. That's actually really important.
Yeah.
It turns out our our emotional selves are not just up here. There's what are going with your gut. You've actually got like there's feedback. There's emotional and psychological feedback that happens from the gut, and gut bacteria can affect your mental health. That's
Mm,
another section.
okay.
Uh oh god, BMI. Oh god. Sorry, rant incoming. BMI is bad math index.
Oh,
BMI okay, my height and my mass are a cubing function. Would you agree that if something is the same shape and you were to double its height, you would increase its volume by 8 times?
uh, maybe whatever you think is best. I'm
Okay. So imagine
I'm
uh,
dumb, dude.
hang on. I need a visual. All right. Here's one thing. Here's a one thing.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I double its height, well, now it's not the same shape. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's a rectangle instead of a square.
So now is it the same shape?
Well, as what? The first thing?
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it
just
scaled
bigger.
up? No.
No?
No, because it's sorry, I
Oh,
dropped.
because it's a
I,
cube, because it's more dimensions or what?
right. So now let me give you a cube that is 2 dice high. If I can get the dice in my hand.
Hell is geometry.
So here is a cube that is 2 dice high and has 8 dice in it.
Okay.
Okay, so the relationship between height and volume is cubing. It's a anyway. Twice as high is 8 times as big. BMI says that height is related to the square of the optimum, which is to say that tall people aren't any wider than short people or
That
not any thicker than, and that's not right. That is not correct. It is mathematically a horrible failure. They so much so that they recognize that BMI is only even useful in a narrow range, and they have a different BMI for high and a different BMI for low because their math fails. Their math fails as bad as a flat earther saying that the Earth's curvature is 8 inches per mile squared. That's a parabola. That's not even a circle. It's the
okay.
wrong math, and it's not wrong by a little. It's wrong by 2 to 1.
Okay, so I still don't understand, but you are probably right for all I know, right? So
Yeah,
maybe
I'm just saying that anything that's based on BMI starts off with bad math.
do you wanna
And this is another area where physicians have not learned to get rid of this thing, and they have known about it for years and years. BMI is the bullshit medical index. It is wrong.
okay, in that same section about BMI,
Yeah.
do you wanna read, like, the next sentence or 2 or whatever to
Sure, sure.
see what their claim is? Maybe you
Yes.
can
Sorry. Thank you for
read 'em up.
allowing my rant.
No, no,
That
your rant is fine.
really
Maybe this will inspire another rant.
okay. A meta-analysis of adult vegetarian diet studies estimated a reduced weight difference of 7.6 kilograms for men and 3.3 kilograms for women, which resulted in a 2-point lower BMI. I mean, I'm not even going to read the BMI. I'm sorry. It resulted in a weight difference of 7.6 kilograms and 3.3 kilograms for men and women. Vegetarian children are leaner, and their BMI difference, I'm not even going to read it.
Okay, never
I don't
mind.
give a shit about their BMI difference, but I'm gonna say they had a weight difference. Why is that a good thing?
Well, generally speaking, I think, like, and I'm not, so, like, is it true that like obesity increases the risk of other diseases, right?
We didn't say these are obese. Is there an optimum? If there's an optimum, is this below or above that optimum? They're
Well,
not claiming that lower is necessarily better.
well, the next sentence, I guess, but
Oh, right. Well, they're talking about overweight, sure, but they haven't established that overweight was a problem.
well, I mean, it says in the next thing like obesity in children, but like
Okay, if we've established that obesity in children is an issue, and then vegetarian diets would be better for treating obese children, and it would seem like vegetarian diets would be less good for scrawny children.
I don't know about that because you can still build up to the adequate, like necessary level without going over it, is the thing.
Right. If you're below the optimum, it would seem like a vegetarian diet would harm you.
I not if you do it right.
I agree. If you do either one of them right, you won't be obese.
Yeah, sure, maybe, but
If you do either one of them right, you'll be close to the optimum.
yeah. It's
Mhm.
just easier because a lot of vegan food is lower in calories. That's one of the reasons why it's easier for you know people who are eating animal products to accidentally go over the limit. But like you're talking about, if you keep an eye on it better,
Right, right. This is 200 calories inside the container. And if I had 200 calories of another source, it's the same calories. It might be a different mass. If
right?
this is less mass than the equivalent calories in meat, because the chia seeds are twice as dense as meat in terms of calories per gram.
Chia seeds are something else.
They're awesome. They're amazing.
Right?
I thank you for reminding me to research them. We do keep them on the shelf, and I was just using them for fun, and now I'm using them for nutrition.
Cool. All
But
right.
yeah, lowering calories, I don't think is the point, because if you're doing it right, you're taking in the right amount of calories a day.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I agree.
And a handful of nuts is a huge difference.
Yeah, there could be a lot of fat in nuts too.
Oh man, nuts are nuts
I
are
mean,
some of the most concentrated food. 6 calories a gram for that stuff.
yeah,
6.9 for my pecans.
yeah, nuts are really, really good for your health.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's move on and let's see. Anything else sticking out to you? Or
Vegans had the lowest concentration of, now when we say HDLC and LDLC, we're talking about cholesterol, the high and low density cholesterols. The low density ones are the only ones that are actually afraid of. The high density ones actually seem to help on the side of high density, and a low density do very well on the arterial sclerosis thing. Side question, let me address that right now. What other factors aside from diet add to weight, or
exercise?
subtract from either one?
Yeah, exercise.
Mhm. Exercise, yeah. Metabolic rate, if now exercise directly affects metabolic rate, but also, um, like, for example, I stand almost all the time. So metabolically, I put a lot more. No, it's not good?
It's not. I don't. I prefer to sit.
Oh, I totally get it. I'm just saying that I'm not saying this is a better thing. This is not better for my knees.
Right, right. It might be better for other things.
It's way better for my lower back, but since I've lost my weight, I don't have lower back problems anymore. I haven't
Cool,
had any lower back pain since I got below 90 kilograms.
awesome.
Uh, but for
What's
example,
healthy kilogram?
2.2 pounds.
Okay, thanks.
So 90 is, just over 200 pounds.
Okay, cool.
Right now, I'm under 180 and above 170. This morning, I was 78.8. Anyway,
Well, don't ever speak to me in kilograms again.
sorry.
Dick.
I'm a metric bigot. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, so factors aside from diet, I would say just levels of physical activity, and that is that exercise, or is that just like how much you move and bounce and obviously coming out and doing a live stream, turning on my extrovert, that probably cranks things up a little bit. Um,
But
uh,
probably not as much as
oh,
a brisk walk, though.
oh, absolutely. A brisk walk is a big deal. I do have to walk something like 12 miles a day
Oh,
to double my caloric
oh,
load for the day. That's a lot.
yeah,
So 12 miles a day of walking is equivalent to my resting base,
yeah, and
apparently.
walking like unless you're like really fast walking, like I would just recommend jogging. Just go ahead and do a little jog.
Yeah. I have a treadmill right here,
Cool.
set up behind my station, and I try to get 10, 15 miles a week on that while I'm watching
Nice.
music and reviewing videos. And I also like to take walks out in the world, but I don't go out alone. So I take all the walks my people are willing to take, and then I have my treadmill for all the rest.
Okay.
The other thing that affects the weight the most, beside from diet and exercise, is sleep.
Mm.
An extra hour of sleep is worth more than that much walking.
Mm.
It's amazing how much sleep matters in getting things together. When I tried heavy diet and I didn't have my sleep worked out, didn't work. Getting my sleep was a huge thing. So, like for example, I have the main light in this room is a timer, and it goes off at a specific time, and it doesn't come back on for 12 hours. And that's my encouragement to go to bed. And my rule is I'm not allowed to get out of that bed until I've been awake. Either the light comes on or I've been awake for a full hour doing meditations and thinking and gratefulness exercises.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I spend 10, 11 hours in that bed most nights.
Nice. I'm in my bed right now.
Yeah. All right. So, uh,
My bed is in the ocean,
yeah,
waves and
beautiful
boat.
package you got going there.
Yeah, it's real. It's just a tapestry. It's like $20.
Okay. So here's one that says vegan diets are beneficial to a children's well being, and all animal based diets are potentially unhelpful.
Oh my goodness.
Eh? What's this?
From the FAO, the
Who is this?
Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations.
Oh, okay. I'm skipping it. Go back to the thing. Sorry. Oops. Didn't mean to stop
Hi there.
presenting the. Hi there.
Well, hello.
Well, hello. There we are.
I drove my motorcycle today. A nice
Yeah.
morning ride. It was good. I love it. Oh, it's so fun.
Nice. Nice.
But anyways,
Okay.
uh, anything else here? You want to move to the vegan athletes is next.
Sure. Vegan athletes. Tell me about that.
Well, you should watch the movie The Game Changers on Netflix.
Okay.
Did you see that yet?
I have not.
It's good. The Game Changers. It's got
Please
Arnold
throw that
Schwarzenegger.
to me as a link in this description for the end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll promote 2 movies right now.
Mhm.
Game Changers on Netflix, and another one is What the Health.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so What the Health on Netflix, Game Changers. So Game Changers is about vegan athletes like bodybuilders, strongmen, UFC fighters,
Mhm.
runners, marathon runners, bicyclists, all this stuff, swimmers, Olympic athletes, and how they're on a plant-based diet and how it is like helping them thrive as a athlete. So that's
Right.
pretty cool. So
So what sort of differences between a non-athlete's vegan diet and an athlete's vegan diet?
I
Uh,
think it would probably well, uh, I would think that an athlete would want more clean foods, like less processed stuff, more
okay.
whole foods, um, except that they would also want a high calorie intake.
Okay.
So maybe they would, have some heavy processed foods to get a bunch of calories in,
Oh,
or they do what I do is a weight gainer. Like, so I make a shake that once a week I make a shake of like 2 blender fulls, and I pour them into cups, and then save the cups in the freezer,
Sure.
and then defrost them by the morning, kind of thing. And uh, and in my shakes is, blueberries and raspberry and
Mhm.
whatever, but mostly it's, oat milk and some apple juice, and then a ton of powder that is like vegan protein powder and vegan
Mhm.
blood gainer, because I'm kind of a skinny dude, always been, even before I went vegan, and so like,
Mhm.
um, but I work out and stuff. I'm not like as athletic as I used to be, but so making these shakes is a great way of packing on that weight.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you consider those processed.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like they're. I could. Well, it's in the other.
It's processed, but not in a way that would warn me about it because, like, for example, my I take a similar thing in a protein bar, and it is, a processed isolate
Yeah,
protein. Well, isolating the protein doesn't is not bad.
yeah. So
It's not like heavy cooking, it's not like, adding a crap ton of salt, it's not these other things. So, now I don't allow that to be more than okay, it's typically a sixth and not more than a third of my daily intake, because I'm I don't think I need diversity of protein sources.
sure,
I
yeah.
wanna make sure that I have complete proteins and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, these are complete proteins, but I agree that, it's good to get multiple protein sources, and multiple sources of all your different vitamins and nutrients and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like the protein powders I have is rice protein powder and pea protein powder from
Oh,
pea,
okay.
and both of them by themselves have more protein each than
Mhm.
whey protein, which is the
Okay.
non-vegan, the regular. I think whey comes from dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. So let's see. I'll just read the first one. In addition to health benefits, a plant-based diet may provide performing enhancing effects for various types of exercise due to
Mm,
high carbohydrate levels and high concentration of antioxidants and phytochemicals found in a plant-based diet.
very good.
Next one, a vegan diet does not seem to be detrimental to endurance and muscle strength in healthy, young, lean women. In fact, our study showed that submaximal endurance might be better in vegans compared with omnivores.
Ooh, I like that. I am much less concerned about, like, winning a race, but my, endurance through the normal day is something that I really like to have. I
Okay,
like
cool.
to get when I'm doing on a project, I really hate when I'm the limiting factor. That's no
Sure.
fun.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I'm a little drowsy sometimes because I'm on these psych meds, and they mess with me a little bit. But
Yeah,
I drink a Red Bull to counteract that shit. So we're good. We're good.
yeah.
Don't I
I am
seem
a
good?
caffeine. I am an absolute caffeine. When I am awake, I am on 3 drugs.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's see. So blah 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 blah. I don't know if we need it. We've been at it for like an hour and a half.
we
Uh,
have. It's a lot.
but you can just kind of scroll through there, and some of these talk about the vegan shakes. The soy protein powder and all those
Yep.
things. And but it's all just basically saying the same thing, that the vegan diet is at least good enough, but might be
Uh-huh.
even better for
Yeah.
athletes.
This one's very exciting. Cardiorespiratory fitness was greater than in omnivores. Ooh. Ooh. I know that my cardiorespiratory fitness is probably my limiting factor in my walking and my athletic stuff.
Okay.
So, an improvement there is just freebie makes it easier,
Well,
makes my
you wanna open it
exercising
up?
easier.
You wanna open this one up?
Sure. This is the National Library of Medicine, PubMed, nice and peer reviewed. Peak Torque Fitness, okay, fine.
Torque.
Torque. VO2 max. Ooh, yeah, baby. I used to be an endurance cyclist
Oh, wow.
for a couple of years. I don't mean competitively. I just mean, club, doing it with people stuff.
Cool.
Um, and that these are important things. Okay, so how much? Ack. Okay, I'd have to read more than the abstract to understand the proportions because
Okay.
I don't have enough numbers in here to give. Even with all these numbers, they're not telling me enough that I can give you
Okay, that's fine.
proportion. That's okay because this isn't one of those where I would have to. I don't have to know what the proportion is to say, oh, better, fine.
Okay.
Well, that tall one that I'm talking about, that means vegetarian leans toward. So, yay.
Vegan.
Yes. Well, this one said vegetarian,
Did it? Oh, damn it.
but that's okay because
No, and a lot of times
they're overlapping sets. If I'm
right.
vegan, I'm obviously vegetarian.
Yeah, a lot of times it seems that they use the words interchangeably or that
Sure.
yeah, but not always, so
Well, and sometimes they're working off this set and this set, and they're overlapping sets. That's fine.
okay.
Better limb strength and power. Ew. Did not hinder, right? And plant-based protein has similar effects to whey protein on body composition, strength, power, aerobic performance, and in professional and semi-professional futsal. I don't know what futsal is. It's a
Me
sport,
either.
but fine,
Cool.
fine. So professionals are having no trouble performing at a competitive level with plant-based. So obviously, plant-based does not confer a detriment, which means any of a concern there.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Mental health. Mental health, very important to me.
Before we move forward, Imma say I'm vegan, but I'm crazy. No,
Yeah.
no, stay on the mental health part, but I'm just saying, like, just because 'cause you're vegan don't mean you ain't gonna be nuts, but
Right, right. Better performance on all cognitive tasks. Holy shit. Really?
I'm also
Uh,
stupid at stuff.
I have significant concern that my cognitive capability is declining.
Oh, yeah.
And as such, for example, I'm diversifying my public efforts into supporting a lot of people behind the scenes because even I might lose my ability to do live streamy kind of stuff. I
Oh, that would
might,
suck.
but I could still do editing for people and sound work and all these other kinds of things to help promote the things that I care about
Yeah. Well,
behind the scenes.
you seem really sharp to me, you know?
So far,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had times when I'm not, and
Mm,
I do note that since my blood sugar is back in shape, uh, I've not had any of those problems. So I'm really hoping that this was not age related, but was actually blood sugar related.
okay, yeah.
Okay. 3,000 older adults. 24-hour dietary interviews. Okay. Executive function. Okay, so this was not an interventional test. This was just a flat out check people, see what they are, and then test them. Very nice. Very nice through line. Okay. So, vegan make you smarter. Good.
Cool.
Vegetarian diet associated with lower risk of depression in Taiwan. Okay, good.
And
No significant.
sometimes I'm also kind of thinking that if a vegetarian, they may not have done research on a vegan diet in the Taiwanese
Mhm.
people, right? Um, or whatever. But this, I'm kind of thinking, well, if a vegetarian diet did good, maybe a vegan diet would do good too, or even better, because that seems to happen a lot of the times. A lot of these
Sure.
studies they do include a vegan versus vegetarian, and the vegans always seem to come out on top.
Okay. I would expect that a vegan is a more strict vegetarian in general. And that if they were asking for vegetarians, they would qualify all vegans as vegetarians.
Right.
So there's a overlapping thing there. And the overall trend is the thing I'm concerned about here.
Okay.
Whether this person snuck a little cheese, it's not as
Yeah.
important to me. It's proportional to me.
Okay.
I think somebody who's 90% vegan gets 90% of the benefit.
Mhm.
Okay, an intervention improves depression, anxiety, and productivity in a multi-center corporate setting. Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Interventional trial. 18 corporate sites of a major U.S. insurance company. 292 participants. Okay, that's a little weak, but
Yeah,
okay.
it's small, but
That's fine. That's fine. And it was mostly women. Okay, fine. They have a body. Oh, God, they selected them by BMI.
oh boy.
Um, Either a weekly instruction or no instruction for 18 weeks. Decent. Depression and anxiety were measured using the short form questionnaire. Work productivity was using a work productivity and activity impairment questionnaire. No blinding, by the way. People were obviously aware of who was doing what. Okay. Oh, nice. By the way, this P number down here being
Uh-huh.
that small is way better. You know how I was talking about sigma? Usually the P number is 2 sigma or 5% or 0.90, 0.05.
Okay.
And this is my 3 sigma standard, part per thousand, not part per 20. If you see 1,000 and 20 as importantly different, we agree. So what that means is that I have a lot higher confidence in the result. Not quite enough to make up for this 292
Okay.
and the BMI is in there, but
Yeah.
that counts for a lot with me right there.
Okay.
And now how much was the effect? They don't say.
Hmm.
I would have to read it more to understand the proportion of this. Although the weakness of the study simply says, okay, they found a quite significantly statistically significant effect. I said that funny, but in a small enough group. But hey, it counts. It
Cool.
counts. All right, dementia, Alzheimer's. Well, yeah, all the things we talked about in terms of comprehension, mental health, obesity, heart disease, and everything else is going to affect um, the question of dementia and Alzheimer's. Dementia and Alzheimer's is very similar to stroke in cause.
Oh, did not know that. Thank you.
Not always. My father's dementia was partially Parkinson's and too much pressure inside his spinal fluid
Mm,
in the brain.
scary.
Yeah, yeah. He eventually died of it, but it took him a long time.
There.
His last 10 years sucked. Okay, obesity. Higher intakes of white meat and poultry are associated with general increased risk of okay, while processed with central obesity. Okay, general obesity versus central obesity. I think I'm not concerned about this because I no longer have either of those and won't unless I fuck up real bad.
Good.
Yeah. Obese individuals with insulin resistance, a vegan diet improves insulin resistance and okay, I need that word. What that mean?
Dyslipidemia. Dyslipidemia.
Dyslipidemia is Dyslipidemia is the imbalance of lipids such as cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein, cholesterol, triglycerides, and high-density lipoprotein. Triglycerides are similar to those lipids It's sort of like the lipids combined with a sugar. High triglycerides are a bad thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so dyslipidemia is when your blood fats are out of control. And I'm going to say blood fats in the very coarse sense of uh, not just blood fats, but like I said, the lipoproteins and the maybe I shouldn't use the word lipoprotein, but the cholesterol.
Okay.
Cholesterol and blood fat are very tied together. Okay. Okay, lactose intolerance, I'm unconcerned. Inflammation. Uh yeah, the the antioxidant thing, very tied to inflammation. Iron deficiency anemia. Okay, this is one of those counters, right? This is one of those areas where you're not maybe not getting enough.
I often hear people saying, "I can't be vegan because I've got anemia, iron
Mhm.
deficiencies." But I
Yep.
think it seems pretty clear that you can get that in a plant-based diet.
Yeah, I had a decades ago, I was in a relationship with a nurse practitioner. So right next to a doctor, and she was much, much, much better at nutrition than most doctors, and things like that. And she was vegetarian. I'm not sure if she was full vegan. No, probably not full vegan. I think she had some cheese and eggs. Um, but other than that, pretty much not. And for her, low blood iron was a constant problem.
Mm.
She didn't absorb the supplements well, and
Uh,
therefore had a very hard time keeping her blood iron where she wanted it.
but there's also other sources for iron.
Mhm.
Like actual plant foods.
Sure. Oh yeah, there's ways to get it. She just had a hard time getting enough to maintain. That was her bugaboo, was low iron.
Hmm.
Okay, osteoporosis. If when carefully chosen to maintain calcium and vitamin D, we keep coming back to that, and that's fine. That's fine. Calcium, vitamin B, B12, easy to get. Uh, so as long as you have those, no evidence, no statistically significant findings of osteoporosis problems. So excellent. Okay, elderly women which I think that's the cohort that is the most concerned about bone density problems. With a high dietary ratio of animal to vegetable protein and a more rapid femoral neck bone loss, and greater risk of hip fracture. Now, when we say femoral neck bone loss, we're not talking about the femur, we're talking about the neck bones, but okay, whichever. Uh, this suggests that an increase in vegetable protein intake and a decrease in animal protein intake may decrease bone loss and high risk of fracture. So this study is showing that high meat bad for old women.
Yep. Don't
Yep.
you want don't you want the best for the older ladies?
Yes, I do. Especially my own personal older ladies. Both my wives need to be careful about that.
Yeah, my mama. I'm taking care of my mama too.
Mm-hmm. My wife Naya, this arm, uh, recently went to Hawaii, visit with family, and was climbing around our rocks and it broke her
Mhm.
arm right here. I think this bone right here, and she just last week had metal put in.
Ouch.
So I'm very concerned about her bone density and calcium.
Mhm.
Okay, frailty. What is frailty?
Yeah, I think it's kinda in the same sense of, that's why I put it right after osteoporosis, is it just
Okay,
seems something having to do not necessarily maybe I don't know if it's specifically with bones.
yeah, I'm not sure I'm not sure how to define frailty. So
It's
um, I'll just say okay.
There's a really cool movie called Frailty, though. But anyway,
Yeah. Just frailty as a medical term is not something I'm familiar with the definition of. So, I'll just take it as a general. Okay.
yeah. So I'm gonna give a this next section is dedicated to Mr. Alex O'Connor, Mr.
I was
Cosmic.
going to bring him up. You beat me to
Cosmic.
it.
Yeah. So somebody send Cosmic Skeptic my way. Want to
Yeah.
help with him?
Shout out to Cosmic Skeptic. Rock on, dude.
Because we
Uh,
got ways to help you here. So, a vegan diet is effective in promoting a diverse ecosystem of beneficial bacteria to support both human gut microbiome and overall health. Next
uh-huh.
one, vegan diets and their main components affect both bacterial composition and metabolic pathways of gut microbiota by increasing beneficial microorganisms. Oh boy.
Mhm.
And then,
So
go ahead.
vegan, going vegan, better for your gut health,
Yeah.
and that directly relates to IBS. Would you like to tell the story of Cosmic Skeptic and
Well, I
relation to
guess
IBS?
I'll just say this like that if you think if you're gonna go out if you have IBS or you have some kind of dietary requirements
Mhm.
that and you're gonna go out on an adventure with your friends or something,
Yes.
uh, to a place where there may not be all of the foods available for you to have, bring a
Yeah.
snack.
Yeah.
Just bring a snack.
Bring your
That's all
own.
you do.
Yeah.
Contact, look at this stuff and contact a dietitian if you have to,
Mhm.
but like know what you can eat and just make appropriate plans beforehand because it
Yep.
is true that like there it is more inconvenient to be a vegan right now in
Absolutely.
society, but it's not
Oh,
impossible.
yeah, it's actually not even all that difficult. It's getting easier and easier, especially where I live in California.
Yeah,
I can walk into any restaurant and say, "Hi, I'd like to have only a vegan meal. Please work out with me so that I can do that." Or I'd like to be only vegetarian today. I want to no meat, and me and the server will work that out. It's no problem.
yeah, and let's
They're
see.
friendly about it. They're not annoyed.
Yeah, yeah. So then the last one of this part is the low FODMAP diet is an effective strategy to improve symptoms of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. The
Hmm.
present study provides a greater FODMAP composition knowledge of plant-based foods that can now be applied to the dietetic management of vegetarians and vegans requiring a low FODMAP diet. Food processing lowered the FODMAP content of foods, thereby increasing options for patients following a low FODMAP diet. I should have wrote what a FODMAP diet is
Yeah.
in there, but I think people with IBS know what
Yeah.
this is,
Okay.
and so
Okay. So, food processing lowered the FODMAP content. So, does food processing help or hinder what they want? I'm a little
um,
unclear. They say
yeah,
low FODMAP. So do you want to avoid FODMAP if you have IBS?
um, let's see. Yeah, I think. Wait, no. Well, I just can't remember. I had looked it
Yeah,
up, but I
it's a little confusing here. It seems like because, in this case, they seem to be in favor of processing foods more.
it
Does that mean just cook them more?
It might
Cook
just
carrots and
right, yeah, if I recall correctly, it might not be, like, all processed foods, like, the worst type of processed, but, like, how we were talking about, like, some specific processed
yeah,
foods might, for whatever reason, I don't
yeah.
know.
Food processing is not the same. Food processing is not this is processed or this isn't processed. Uh-uh. Cooking is processing.
Yeah,
Throwing it in a blender and it is processing. But when we're talking about like processed meats, no, we're actually talking about adding a bunch of things in there to
yeah,
preserve them that you don't need in your diet that
yeah.
are there for preservation and taste and texture and all those things. And why ham is so incredibly cheap these years because people just don't want it.
Poor piggies. But anyway,
Yeah.
so next section, just real quick, IBD,
Yep.
inflammatory bowel disease. So diets high in animal fat and low in fruits and vegetables are the most common pattern associated with increased risk of inflammatory bowel disease. A plant-based diet is unreservedly recommended for IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. And then the
Okay.
next one, just real quick, a plant-based diet may be of benefit to IBD, inflammatory bowel disease patients through reducing inflammation and restoring symbiosis. What a fun word.
Yeah. Okay. Erectile dysfunction. Okay, whatever. That wouldn't motivate me one way or the other. Let's see. Fibromyalgia. Okay, fibromyalgia, big deal. A little hard to diagnose, but those people that have it are definitely influenced. And quality of sleep. Oh my God. That's the main thing in fibromyalgia. If somebody can get better sleep, their fibromyalgia symptoms reduce faster than almost anything else that I can see. And so if eating a vegetarian or vegan diet improves your quality of sleep, definitely a positive for fibromyalgia. I don't know about hyperthyroidism. I don't know anybody who has that. Oop, I lost a chase. Endometriosis. Okay, women consuming more than 2 servings a day of red meat had a 56% higher risk in endometriosis, and that's a complication of the uterus, where well, the intervention is kind of horrible. It's sort of like not getting pregnant, but having to have an abortion anyway, and being cleaned out. It's a real big deal, and it's painful and very potentially damaging to future fertility and things of that order. Okay, let's see. Raw meat, dangerous. COVID-19 prevention. Oh, good grief. And less expensive. Yes, actually, vegan food can be less expensive. I'm not sure that this is true, though, if you're going for my strategy of only choosing the highest quality sources for things. My nuts that I am using to replace my meats with are about twice as expensive by calorie as the meat. And I don't care. Processed meat being the worst, and why, and like that. Anyway, we've lost Chase, and I will make sure to link this document into the bottom. And there's one question that I wanted to end up with, because we are doing street epistemology, and I'll ask Chase to answer this for next time, and I'll tell you what the question is. What could you learn, something you don't know today, that you might add to this list that would change your mind on any part of this list? What's the kind of countering data that you would find that would change your balance of confidence on any one of these claims? If you like, think of the claims as like the main categories on here: erectile dysfunction, or obesity, or dementia, Alzheimer's. What kind of information would make you think, but wait, here's a situation where eating meat actually improves this other thing? Could you describe the nature of that study? It's probably going to be a real easy question for him. Thank you all. See you next time, probably about a week from now, for the next in this series, where Chase will tell us more about why and when and how with the vegan. Bye-bye.